Julius Ann Letter Number 18, September 13th, 1882. My very bad friend, and so you have let all these weeks, since our first meeting and last parting, go by, without writing me a line. How atrocious! You are quite mistaken in supposing that I think you the gentlest mannered man that ever, etc., etc. I could imagine one much gentler. However, variety is the spice of life. If you had sent me a sugary little note from Newport, on Tiffany's best night-blooming Saracenta squashed strawberry and cream tinted paper, I should only have tossed it aside and said meditatively, "Yes, this is the way he talks to all my sex. In some form or other, he has said this very thing 20 times this week, to Mrs. E.D. Morgan and to Mrs. E.D. Jr., to Mrs. John Jacob Astor, and to Mrs. W.W., to Mrs. Ellis, and to his fiancée, Mip. Excuse me, but I really cannot remember which one you are engaged to at present. But your taciturnity towards me is a distinction. If any of those lovely ladies said to you, 'It is a fine day,' of course you would reply. Your acting towards me as if you were a beast is so exceptional that I must feel complimented. By the way, are you acquainted with Dr. Van Buren? He was here the other day, and how you would have laughed if you had looked in at us. He came with a friend of mine, but as his card was not sent up, I expected to find only my friend in the parlor. I ran downstairs, looking like an angel in dotted white muslin. I hope you know that the angels always wear that, probably because there are so many of them that they had to be economical, and it is pretty, considering. Through the half-open door, I caught a glimpse of some grayish hair and a fine carved figure, not at all like my friend's, and I thought— what do you think I thought? Of course, it was very absurd, when I knew that only 2 days before he had been on exhibition at Niagara or some such place, but I really did mistake him for Jumbo. As soon as I was in the parlor, I saw my blunder, but the introduction was instantaneous, and I held out my hand and exclaimed, "Oh, Dr. Van Buren, I am very glad to see you. I have heard about you so often," all with a seraphic look of surprise and delight, which in reality was not intended for him at all, but for Jumbo. The next day, my friend said, "You made quite an impression on Dr. V." "How do you know?" I asked. "Oh, I know, by his manner," was the reply. "When we left, he asked just one question about you, then he leaned back in the carriage and did not speak for quite a while. I felt guilty. Honesty ought to have compelled me to say, 'I hope he does not think I am as nice as that always. That first look was not meant for him at all.' But then my friend would have asked, 'Was it for me?' And honesty would have compelled me to say, 'No.' And then my friend would have said, 'For whom?' And then honesty would— no, I don't think it could have compelled me to say anything so absurd as, for Jumbo. But it was a ridiculous affair altogether, and I know you are laughing at me. But I do not resent it. I am willing that you should laugh at me once in a while, because I say such temper-trying things to you occasionally. I hope you are a great deal better for all the delightful sea air, and the petting you have had along the New England coast. But how about those mountains you are in such haste to reach? Why do you come to New York just now? If it is to get something pretty for Mip, you know the name, your motive is ideal. If it were only to see me, it would be rather good. But I am afraid to see some of those horrid men, and to stir up some political mischief. You ought to have kept out of the state until after the Saratoga Convention. Your coming here just now will go far to confirm the impression that you are actively interested in the state election. But if you are here, may I ask, are you coming to see me? I have made one little visit out of town, and since I saw you, and expect to make 2 more before going to Saratoga, but will not run away just now, if there is any probability of my seeing you. That would seem cowardly, wouldn't it, to run away just when you are coming, just as if I were afraid of you scolding me politically, and I am not a coward at all, except when I am, which is generally. But perhaps you are not coming. I would like to know, but I won't ask you to let me, because when I tell you to do one thing, you almost always do the other, don't you? So goodbye till the next time, if there is any next. Yours sincerely, J.I.S.